here we go. So what you're gonna see is under cost sheet, you're gonna have one tab says costing. Let me see if I can find that. No, I already changed all that. So it's cost sheet yielding. Okay, if you click on that, you're gonna see this menu. A lot of stuff on it. Okay, don't get intimidated because this is just the information we give you. We're almost giving you everything. Okay, so so this is actually very good. So first thing I'm gonna show you is what the cost sheet looks like. Let me see if I can find that. This is no, not this one. Okay, so this is what the cost sheet looks like. You're gonna get it in an Excel format. Okay, it's a share. It's gonna be like that. So you should need to download it. Download it in Excel. Please do it either Excel. You can open with Google Sheet. Don't do any other format. You're gonna somehow that will alter something. Okay. I'm actually saying that I think probably to Helen because I think she used some other format. Sometimes it doesn't save it right. So what is cost sheet? Cost sheet is a sheet of paper, a form that includes every single detailed cost that involves in making one particular garment. Okay, so it is important for let's say you are manufacturing or when you're designing, then you need to record every single thing, okay? Otherwise, you won't have the proper costing to generate your proper markup for your design to make profit, okay? Very important, okay? So this is not just numbers, although there are a lot of numbers, but this is where, where you're gonna be successful or not, whether your designs will sustain you, okay? So very important. So now, if I go down here, I'm gonna go over the very top portion first, okay? So in cost sheet, of course you have to put a date on it, right? So on the oldest class here, go ahead and put down, class of fall 2020, it's fine. Okay, your name, description, in this case will be bomber jacket. Okay, size range, there's a little purple thing here says, give you an example, size 2 to 12. Okay, remember on the pattern card, you're supposed to circle the size. Right here, you don't. Okay, that's the difference between cost sheet and pattern card when you do sizes. No circling of your sample size. Why is that? Because you're not, even though you're costing based on the sample size, you're not specifying that. You are saying that this garment is offering from one smaller size here to the largest size, and that's it. Okay, so you can either do, I think the bomber jacket is small, medium, large. So in that case, you would say maybe small to extra large. All right, and instructor is me. So that's finished with this part. On the right-hand side, you have style number, which you can make one up. Season, fall 2020. Selling price, do not fill in. Okay, please do not fill in anything there. All right, so let's go to material. Let's look at this real fast. So this material is basically everything that you buy in yardage or it's offered in yardage. Okay, so if it's not comes in yardage, you don't put it here. It will go down to the trim section. So what comes in yardage? Fabric, right? Your body fabric, in your case, is Ponte, right? And then your lining, your muslin. Where's your muslin? Or some of you like Carson decide to use cotton lining. That's fine too. So this is where you put it. It comes in yardage. And then also your fusible comes in yardage, right? So you also put it here. Okay. So if your fabric, let's say your rib, what is your rib? Rib comes in yardage. Therefore, it's here. Okay. Any questions so far? Okay. All right. So what you need to put here to describe the fabric. Now, the purpose of this cost sheet is to give it to production department to cost your garment out. So everything has to be very detailed. So first of all, you're going to describe the fabric. So what does a description of the fabric include? You have to name the fabric, right? You call it ponte, it's fine. If it's a polyester double knit, it's fine. Okay, so we call it ponte here, right? And you're gonna also call out the content of the fabric. Okay, remember, because they're gonna use this information to buy the fabric, right? If they don't know what content, they don't know what to buy. So you put your name of the fabric, content of the fabric, and then also you need to tell them the cuttable width of the fabric. Okay, I will have a list for you what you have used for this exercise. Okay, and then the last one, you also need to put the color of the fabric. Okay, very important. So four things. Do not miss anything out. Name of the fabric, content, cuttable width, and color. That same go with the rib, right? So in this case, when you look at your pattern card, you put the rib as a contrast, right? So contrast, you have to write down, it's a 1x1 rib, or whatever it's listed, right? Was it a 2x2 rib? That's all different. And you're gonna put then, what's the next one? The content, right? So is it gonna be a cotton lycra knit, polyester lycra knit? You have to write it down. Cuttable width, what is it? Is that 42 inches wide, 50 inches wide? Okay, very important. And then the color. Is it black? Is it gray? Is it white? All right. And like I said, if you have lining, you put a lining here too. Okay, lining meaning for example, most of you use muslin. Muslin is made 100% cotton. So 100% cotton, muslin, right? Or muslin 100% cotton in that order. And what's the cuttable width? I believe it's 48. We verify that again later. And then what is the color? Color is, you can call it natural color. All right. Or if you're using pocketing, you'll put black, if that's what the color you use. All right. Interfacing, that's fusible. Okay. It also comes in the width, right? So what is interface? So in this case, since most of you don't really know what inner lining is made of, it's polyester. So, but just say, you can just say fusible interlining, it's fine, or tricot, right? I think we asked you to use tricot lining, interfacing. And then you have to write down the width of the interfacing, as well as the color. Did you use white? Did you use black? Or sometimes it comes in gray or natural color. Okay, so list everything out here. On the second column is that yards, meaning how many yards did you use of this pattern, of this particular fabric? All right, that's when yielding comes in. Okay, we're gonna skip this and come back to it later after I give you a different explanation of how to do yielding. Okay, so price per yard. Okay, very important, write down how much did you pay for it? Is it $5 a yard? Or is it $20 a yard? Or is it $18 a yard? Okay, without this, you won't have a proper costing. So those, you just list them all out. Okay, and at the last is when you multiply how many yards by the cost of the fabric, you will get how much is actually cost you have spent on that fabric, or that fabric will cost to make this garment. Okay, one more time. You multiply how many yards, let's say is 2 yards, and then if it's $10 a yard, so you have $20. You need to spend $20 on this, on the cell fabric, let's say. Okay, so that's what you do. We'll have a better example to show you later, okay? Any questions so far? Okay, all right.
Wait, I just have one So we paid like $75 for like all of our supplies.
So we'll have a breakdown for
Okay.
you. So this is not about that project price that you
Okay.
paid. This is about how to calculate to the cent, to the quarter, to the penny. Okay.
Oh,
All right. So the next portion is trims. So let's talk about what we use for this garment. We use zippers, right? Okay. Again, most of you that are here, or for those who are not most of it, well, most of you, yeah, that in LA, you pay a project price. We gave you 2 zippers, okay. But the rest of you that actually ordered the zipper online, you actually knew that you actually had to spend, X amount of dollar on the long zipper and X amount of dollar on the short zipper. So this is what you have to put it in. Now, if you look at the example, they ask you for buttons, right? I remember when you did the pattern card, you have how many buttons per what size you put it in. Same thing you need to be here, right? Except your button needs to be, or trim needs to be even more detailed. My mouse is frozen. So let's go to this zipper. So in this case, you actually describe again everything about that zipper. Okay, what did you use? What color tape is a zipper? What type of zipper it is? So for most of you, you had the metal zipper, right? But what color was it? Was it a silver? Was it a sometimes your metal color can be a tinted or plated, antique color, antique brass color, or antique metal color. So this is what you describe it. Or if it was a plastic zipper, then you would say molded plastic zipper, or sometimes it's called coil zipper. So all different names, okay? But for most of you, you use a metal zipper, okay? Zipper has a size, okay, right? Not only you talk about the length, which you have to put it here too, but you also have to talk about the size of the zipper, okay? Most of the zipper you use for the one down by the front is number 5. Okay, for those that got that from school, it's number 5. I think the rest of them also got number 5 because that's what lists on the supply list. So that's the size. Now that is very different size compared to the one you use for your woven pants, because that's a much smaller. You will not use that big of a zipper size to put in your pants. Okay, nobody want that bulkiness, right in down in the center of your thigh. All right, so you use the softer, the nylon, number 3 nylon zipper, right? You're not putting that here, but I'm just using it as an example. All right, so you put your color zipper, the teeth, the size of the zipper, and then also now you want to talk about the length of the zipper, okay? The length of the zipper is from teeth to teeth, not from the end of the zipper tape to end of the zipper tape, all right? So you have to put all of them here. Okay, sometimes your trim can be snaps, can be elastics, and can be embroidery, can be patches, can be, if you want to like put rhinestone on it, that will stay here. All right, so then you say, how many did you use? Right here is a zipper, but you actually have 2 zippers, so you of 2 different sizes, right? So you need to enter 2 different times. Each time has a different color or different length or different size. Okay, a garment can have as many zippers as you want to put in it, but every single one, if they're different size, you need to put them down as a single entry. And if they multiply, maybe you end up using 3 5-inch zipper, then you will have to say describe 5-inch zipper, black, whatever metal color, what size it is, and then you're gonna say 5 or 3 of them here, and let's say you have to say, oh, this is like $2 each zipper, then you put 2 here. So 2 and 3, you end up paying $6 on that size of zipper. Okay, again, we'll come back here with an example to show you. All right, so send out. So sometimes you send things out for embroidery, you will have to put it here. And maybe it's gonna call, that you would describe maybe like a flower embroidery. So you just say flower embroidery, and then you're gonna say how many you use for this garment. Maybe you use 2 flower embroideries, and it costs maybe $3 from to make it. So, and then you put the total cost here. All right. So that's one example. Some example always also can be you're gonna send something out to be printed. Okay, so silk screening, then you will list them here too. All right. Usually for a real manufacturing, this part designer usually don't fill this out. So in that case, you don't have to fill this out either. Okay. So labor, you can totally skip this part. Shipping, you can totally skip this part. We want to show this to you because this is what a real cost sheet would look like from any manufacturing or any importer that actually bring in their own garment. All right, any question about that? So no labor, no shipment. You never have to fill them when you're in Otis. Okay. Somebody said something?
Yeah, I have a question.
Yep.
So we bought like a fabric on ourselves, right? And then I don't know like what the width they offer in the store.
So, okay. We can, if you don't remember, do you have any fabric left?
I have fabric.
Okay, then you can just measure from selfish to selfish.
Oh, you mean that?
That's the width of the fabric.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. I think
okay. Yeah. But in case those, some of you maybe, I use everything, I cut everything up, I don't have anything left. Then we can just go to the one that everybody else is using. I explained to you on the next thing, okay? All right, so on the right side of the page is the sketch, front view in color. So go ahead, you can, if you want to grab the other one from other page, from like the spec sheet and put it here, it's fine, okay? And make sure you have material swatches, meaning you want to have your Ponte here, and then on the next one, contrast your rib, right? Or if you have, doing other style, you have maybe 5 different colors, then you have to put all of them here and describe them. This is a blueprint of the cost to make this jacket. So you want to make this garment, not say jacket, make this garment. So you have to put everything here. Okay.
Do you put the lining too, or just self and contrast?
You go ahead and put the lining here too.
Okay.
You just create another, just write down another little tab. This is, you don't have to exactly follow this spacing. If you have more than one, obviously you have to just kind of make them smaller and paste them here. Okay, so any question about this? We can come back to it later if you don't, this is not a test for you guys. So I'm going through one time and I'm gonna go through one with an example to show you what it has looked like, okay? So let me go to that one as soon as I find it. Not here, not here, here, okay. Oh, this is a pattern card. Okay, so, oopsie, sorry, what did I do? What did I do? Okay, pattern card, let's do this again. So, wrong, sorry. Wrong card. Let's do this one. All right, so this is just an example of the pattern card that you have done, right? So now I asked you to separate your patterns, the one to use. There's a pattern card on the bomber jacket. Remember that was already posted, right? You can use that to double check your pattern pieces. This particular one is a little different from yours. It has 2 pockets, right? So this is just like an example to show you what it looks like, but not necessarily the one that you're working on. All right. So let me see if I can get, again, it listed as a self, contrast, and lining, right? And then your fusible. It's all listed as a pattern card, so you will know how many pieces to pull when you do your yielding. Okay, this is to double check you don't miss any patterns. All right. And sometimes you have the zipper here, information here. So that's also for you to reference back on. If it happens on the pattern card, it needs to happen on the cost sheet also, right? So this is for you cross-reference. Oh, let me make sure I don't forget this material or this trim. Okay. This particular sample, we using a toddler. For those who doesn't know the word toddler. Toddler means little kid. So this is for age 4, so a very tiny person. Okay, so we're gonna use this as an example when I actually show you some of the other part of the yielding project exercise. So it won't be exactly like yours, but you can get an idea. All right, so what's next? Let's go back. So that's pattern card, so make sure you reference to your pattern card. Now let's talk about yielding. Okay, so there's a handout in here. Okay, this handout show you how to yield. Okay, to yield, basically to lay out pattern pieces on grain in a one-way direction while using the least amount of fabric. Cutting one way ensure that there won't be any shading in your garment. That makes sense. That's whatever I just read. Is that completely foreign to you? Any questions? Okay. If your pattern pieces do not fit all the way across the fabric width, then you need to add more garments so that it will. So below 3 garments fills up an entire even space across the fabric. Okay, so I think some of you already kind of have an idea what it means to fill up the fabric, right? So when you buy fabric, this is the selvedge edge, right? So just imagine when you go to a fabric store, you know how they kind of lay out, they measuring yardage. So, okay, you're buying 2 yards, so they're unrolling the roll and then they give you 2 yards, right? So that's what that is right here, okay? So when you do yielding, you need to see how many garment will fit across that fabric. So in this case, this is the garment side view of it, right? So one garment 1, garment 2, garment 3. This is the most efficient yielding for this width for this garment. Because if you just put front and back, you're gonna have this space completely empty, right? So that's not a good efficient marker. So what you want to do is just double it or triple it until you get a very filled up space, right? Once you achieve that, then you know how many inches you have used for 3 garments. Okay, I'm gonna pause a little bit, think about that. Any question? Does that make sense, what I'm saying? Why we want to do that?
Can you repeat that one more time?
Okay, so okay, let me try to use a different pen. If you, let me see, if you just use this one and this one, and that's a facing, right? What you end up having is an empty space. You can have this empty space here, right? So you can really get a good sense of how much percentage, the maximum percentage you can use within the fabric. So you're gonna have to start moving the more patterns across and fill up, let's say, if you fill up 3 garments, you're gonna have sort of no empty space to possibly put another garment in, right? So that way, out of this, for the example is 48 inches from here to here, 48 inches of this fabric, you can fit 3 garments in, meaning each garment will take, what's 48 divided by 3? 16, okay? So each garment technically will take 16 inches. Now you said 6 inches this much, that's not even, I can't even fill my front and back. Yes, correct, but that's how we calculate in costing, okay? It's not how much you can cut or how much you need to cut, but how much you actually need to fill out the space for you to make the garment. Okay. Any question? Don't understand? Are we good to move on? Okay, I'm going to continue. Okay, why can't I do this? Yeah, close this. Okay, all right. Oh, get rid of that. Clear everything first. Clear all drawing. Okay. Clear. Clear. Okay, all right. So now that's one thing I also said was called one directional. You see everything is facing one direction, right? That means you're not turning anything the other direction when you cut. That's a guarantee that there won't be any shading issues. Sometimes when your fabric has a nab, if you turn it upside down, your front will look shinier than the back or even darker than the back. So this is to avoid that. So now if you lay down, this is the example of what happened if you lay up and down, your garment could look like this when you finish. So one directional marker will give you that advantage. Another way of avoiding it, if it's only a slight difference, you don't care, you can actually interchange. Maybe you have, make sure you have enough set of one direction to make a whole garment and the other side too. So that way, maybe one garment will be slightly darker, the other color will be the other garment will be slightly lighter. So that's another option. There's a lot of manufacturing would do to save fabric. Okay, because obviously if you turn this, you see this space actually, it's a better match than doing side by side, right? Any questions so far? What I just said to you just now?
I have a question about
Yes.
the first page. If you go
From the
up.
what? Previous page?
Yeah.
Okay. Here?
Yes, on the bottom, it says divide 48 by 36.
Right.
What's 36?
36 is how many inches per yard?
Okay.
So 48 inches is how much we use, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So so that means 48. So that means how many yards did we use to make 3 garments? So 48 divided by 36 equals 1. Oops, sorry. I have the wrong setting here. 48 divided by 36 gives you 1.33. So 1.33 yards give you 3 garments. Okay, so how many how many yards for each garment? Then you divide 1.33 by 3, give you 0.44. Okay, now write this in the biggest letter you can. It's going to remind yourself in cost sheet. This place is always in decimal. You do not want to write fraction here. Okay. Even you do not also want to write in inches. That always, the unit of measure is always yard. Okay. What I said earlier, I said, oh, you only need 18 inches or 16 inches per garment. You need to convert that back to yard. Make sense?
Yes.
You don't want to, you want to multiply by inches. It's always by yard. All right, okay. So 0.44 is the amount you would put on your cost sheet under yards if this is the fabric you want to use, okay? And then you're gonna put the price you pay for the fabric on the second column. Remember that? You have your how many, the yield, which is how many yards per garment. In this case, 0.44. And they give you example here. The cost of the fabric is $10. So how much money does it cost for this fabric in this garment? Is 0.44 times 10, which is $4.40. Okay. So because you are all using calculator, please only use 2 decimal points when you come to dollars or the yield. Don't go on to 0.3586. We don't need to know how many cents or into cents. Your dollar doesn't count beyond two decimals. Okay, so 2 decimals for the yield, 2 decimals for the dollar amount. All right, so this is talking about another like 2-directional marker. I think I briefly touched that already. So trims. Okay, let's talk about trims real fast. So there are trims that sold by yards, right? So let's say you buy your elastic, it's sold by yard. So or you buy your ribbons, it's sold by yard. Your zipper doesn't sold by yard, but anything you buy comes in a roll, it's sold by yard, right? So so this is an example. If this particular trim you take 130 inches for this garment, then you divide 130 by 36, right? 36 inches per yard. You got 3.61. That means the next 3.61 yard of this trim for the garment. Okay, so that's what you will put at the yield. So if the price of that trim is $2 a yard, then you multiply by 3.61 times 2 equals to 722 amount, right? Notice it's only 2 decimal points. So please do not write 1 decimal. So even if it's, let's say, $7.10, you don't write 7.1, you write 7.10. Okay? All right. Any question about that? Okay. So let's go on next one. Let's talk about buttons. Okay. So for trim sold in bulk, example, a package of 50 buttons costs $10. You only need 5 buttons for your garment. First, you need to figure out how much this button costs. Each button costs, not 50 buttons. So you have to divide the dollar amount you paid for 50 by the quantity. So $10 divided by 50, you get 20 cents per button. So if you need 5, so 20 cents times 5, the cost of the button for this garment is $1. Okay, so on the cost sheet, this is what you're going to put. 5 is a quantity, price is 20 cents, and then the amount total you use on the button for that trim for this button is $1. It sounds so tiny, right? You have all this, get into dollar and cent, quarter and pennies, but all this is going to add up. And the difference of the trim amount will change dramatically when you start multiplying, and when this become, you have to give yourself a markup. So by the time it will tell you very clearly what it will or what it costs at retail. Okay, so a lot of times when you're actually designing something, right now you're in school, you're buying things from retail, but when you are in developing a course in the manufacturing level or in the designing level in the real design house, your garment may only cost $20, right? But in order to sustain that company, you will have to wholesale it at maybe $40. So in order for the wholesaler to put into retail, the thing may be $80 by the time it gets to retail store. So you see your 20 will become 80. So every cent or every quarter you use will change, will affect the final selling price at retail level tremendously. Okay, any question about this part so far? Okay. All right, let's go back. Do we need to take a breather? Is that too much information so far? Are we okay?
Good.
You're good? Good. Okay. All right. So again, you can go back and refer to all this thing. It's all here. We even give this to you, which is called a conversion thing for you. So if you have your, 1/8, quarter, and this is what it says in decimal. So we have 3 decimal here. You just have to round up and round down to do your, let's say 3/8 is 0.38, right? If you have to fill it in. So don't write 0.375. Okay. So this is just a little chart helpful for you. Okay, let's go back. Not here. Oh, here. Okay. All right. So now, let's say you have to, after you divide all your patterns, you are going to see how much fabric you need for your self fabric. So most of you is Ponte, right? Either you got it from school or you got it from the store. You went and bought it yourself. So somebody go away. Hang on, let me see. Did somebody disappear? No? Okay, sounded like it. Okay, so under self here, okay, let's go back to the first picture. Okay, so what you want to do, because you're all from home now and working from home, so you need to have, somehow you need to mark how wide your fabric is. Either you do it on the floor, if I doubt that any of you had a huge table like this, okay? So you really want to get the width of your fabric. So imagine this is the selvage on both sides, okay? And this is the roll. Okay, so let me hang on one second. Okay, so imagine like this is the roll. Oops, sorry, I can't draw straight. This is the roll of fabric, right? So you roll it out, right? And now you have the width of the fabric. So now you need to fill, God, okay. You need to fill all, you're gonna put out all your self fabric pattern and lay them down to see how many yards it takes, right? So let me clear that. All right. So if I lay it down, I cannot put one here. It doesn't fit. So I have to, kind of, this is the way I lay it down, one directional marker. That's all I see, right? But what happened to all this fabric? We can't just let it empty out, right? So we have to somehow estimate how many times we have to repeat all these pattern pieces to fill in to the best marker. Remember how you look at the t-shirt earlier, the little, not t-shirt, the tank top, the woman's sleeveless top. and how you have front and back and you end up having 3 times, we're doing the same thing here, okay? So let me show you a second. So imagine this is the space we block off. So we're gonna go to the next one. We can put that many pieces here, right? And now you have a better consumption, right? You don't have any lost fabric except this little area, right? So we may have to do 3 times. So you put one here. Now you come to all the way here, right? It's probably really long. And 3 times your garment to fill it out to maximize the space. So this is the explanation of this. The fabric is wide enough for 3 garments across. The amount of fabric used 61 inches, meaning by the time I repeat 3 sets of garment, actually requires 61 inches long, right? So we're going back to the math again, right? 61 inches, how many yards is that? Divided by 36 inches, you get 1.69. So 1.69 yard, you get 3 garments. So how many per garment? You divide 1.69 by 3. Every garment takes 0.56, okay? Remember, I'm using 2 decimals, right? Okay. Even though it's probably more when you do it in a calculator, only go up to 2 decimals. So for the pattern card list in inches, okay, so when you fill in pattern cards, you're supposed to write in inches. So that's a difference. On a pattern card, you don't fill in as decimal. Decimals only happen in cost sheet. Pattern card, you will actually write inches, okay? So 61 inches divided by 3, you get 20 and a half inches. Okay, but for the cost sheet, listed in decimal is 0.56. I think I lost half of you. Did I? Are we good?
Yes.
Yes, we're good? Okay, all right. So I'm gonna repeat one more time. And in your pattern card, you list your yield in pattern card in inches. In your cost sheet, you list it in decimal. Okay? It's not interchangeable. Okay? If you don't do this, it is incorrect. All right. So that's yourself, right? So remember, you also have block fusing. Okay, so separate those and do a separate one for block fusing. Okay, so when you do your first yielding, you will only do the front. You won't do your front facing or the back facing. Remember how you make that a separate block? You have to go back and do that again and measure how long that is. Okay, so let me go in and show you that. Okay, so that's a self. Let's go to block fuse. Okay. So this garment has a little more than just that block fuse, but you have only 3 things, right? You have this guy, you have this guy, and this guy, right? So your block fuse, I remember it's like maybe this next to each other and then put the facing on top. So you have that, and then you're basically gonna lay it down and see how long it takes, right? So when you figure out this block, what you're gonna do, you're gonna repeat it across, see how many fit across. Okay, maybe it fit 4. In this case, let's see. Okay, so so you're gonna fit 3 across, right? So let's do a little number here. So the fabric width is wide enough for 3 garments, right? The total amount used is 16 inches. So in this case, it's 16 from here to here. Okay, you see the tape measure, 16, right? For yours, it will be a little different, obviously, because this is for toddler size. Okay, yours will be way longer. So please don't think about these numbers will fit into your cost sheet. Okay? It won't apply. This is just an example. So, but we're going to use that right now. So 16 inches divided by 36, but you always divide it by 36, you always start the length of the fabric you use divided by 36. So you actually need 0.44 yards to make 3 blocks of block fusing. Okay, now you divide 0.44 by 3 garments, right? Then each garment, in costing purpose, only take 0.15. Okay, remember I said 0.15. 0.15 is what? It's not even. It's so little. You can't even cut it. But that's how we do it in costing. Okay, you may not be able to actually use it to cut, but that's how we do it in costing. Okay, again, this is what you're saying for pattern card, list in inches, right? 16 divided by 3 is 5.14 inches. That's what I meant. It's only 5 inches. How can you use it to cut anything, right? But that's how we use when we put the yield, all right? So for the cost sheet, the list is actually 0.15. Again, 2 decimals, all right? Okay, let's go back. So we're done with the block fusing. So let's go back to the previous one, the self, right? That's still how much you need for the self. So at the very end, so after you have the one that by itself, you don't have any fusing on it, and you did the block, you know how much you need for the block fusing, you're gonna add the self and the block fusing portion of the self and get the total self needed for one garment. Okay, so for the cost sheet is 0.56, it's here. And the other one, the block fuse is 0.15, right? Just from previously. Meaning for yourself, fabric you need for the garment, either cut it by itself or the one in block fusing, you need 0.71. Okay, you don't have to memorize all this. This is all there for you to review later, okay? All right, so that's for the self. I'm gonna go ahead and go over the other one too. So let's talk about contrast. Contrast in this case is rib. Now, very important, you have to lay it according to grain line, right? So in this one, we're gonna say the rib width is 44 inches. So if the rib that you bought, you actually buy your own rib, it's different, go ahead and use that. But for the one that we pass out from school, we say 44 inches. So you see, in this case, we have a rib here, and this is the neck, and then we have 1 cuff and 2 cuff, and I'm not sure what this is for, but that's in that little toddler garment, right? So if you just, oh, this is how much I use and how much I need, this part, it's gonna be totally wasted, right? So you have to fill it more. So let's see what happened when we fill in that area. Oh, okay, I can put another one here, put one here, right? But you still have this little gap here. So let's try one more. So we add on top of it. Okay, so we add this. Now this is a really good size, right? So you have one here, and one here. So again, for this one, I can see, let me go to the next page. So the total fabric that needs to put 3 garments is 20 inches. So 20 inches divided by 36 is 0.56. Okay, so now divide 0.56 by 3, right? Because you repeat it 3 times. Each garment, you need 0.19 yard of rib for this garment. But remember for the pattern card it's in inches, so you would divide 20 inches divided by 3, you need 6 3/4 inch if you put on a pattern card. Okay, since you're not filling pattern card, you're only doing cost sheet, you don't really have to worry about that, but we want to kind of bring it back to you so you always remember that. Okay, so for the cost sheet, the list in decimals is 0.19 as we did it here. Okay, all right. We're going to do one more since you also have lining. Okay. Lining, you only have one pocket, right? And you only have one pocket back. One side is with self, so that doesn't go here. You only have one pocket. So the example here is two pocket, okay? Because this is all pocket back. So for this example, let's see how many you can get across. You get 2 garments across, okay? So it's maybe a little easier to calculate this time. So it needs 6 inches to have 2 garments. But your 6 inches needed to divide by 36, meaning it's 0.17. Now you need 0.17 divided by 2 garments. It's 0.09 for 1 garment. So in the cost sheet, you're going to say the cost sheet, the listing decimal is 0.19. But in the pattern card, you're going to use the 6 inches, which is here, divided by 2 equals 3 inches, right? Kind of ridiculous. You have 3 inches. This is 3 inches. It's not even, doesn't even fit the pocket bag, but that's how we use it in yielding. All right. All right. So I've gone through how you kind of play around and get the yield of the garment. So it's almost like playing puzzle, right? You see how you fit as many pattern as possible into that small area. Okay, very, very super important. You have to lay according to the grain line. Okay, you cannot randomly say, oh, I'm going to turn it 90 degrees to make it fit better. Okay, so that does not work. Okay, they have to follow the grain line. All right, so one last thing I want to give you is this. So this is the bomber jacket fabric and trim prices. You know what? Why don't all of you, including the one that you bought for yourself, follow this to make things a little easier? Okay. Even you order, even those like Haruka, you order everything online, you bought it from your fabric store. Go ahead and use these. Okay, I think it would make life easier for you to, at least for the first time. So we're gonna use 56 inches cuttable for yourself, which is the Ponte. Okay, so you're gonna write Ponte on your cost sheet, right? What do you need? There are 4 things. You need the name of the fabric, the content of the fabric. Okay, content is what? I asked you guys to do 100% polyester, right? So go ahead and put that in 100% polyester. And then you need the width of the fabric, right? So 56 inches. And what is the color? So you can either, whether it's a gray, a black, that you can fill in whatever your color you have. If some of you chose have like a beige color or a tan color, I think I've seen tan color, other color, go ahead and put those in, okay? That should be followed. But in terms of width and the cost of the fabric per yard, follow this, okay? So this page is in that folder. So please go back to this, okay? So use $24 per yard. Contrast rib is the same, although in reality, it would not be the same. But for this practice, go ahead and use this, okay? $24 a yard again. So it's a little easier for you to, so everybody should have the same results, okay? And lining or the muslin, okay? $4.50 per yard. Again, it's 56 cuttable. Even though muslin is not 56 cuttable, we're gonna have it used that way. So Carson, you use your black cotton lining, go and use $4.50 also and 56 cuttable, okay? That way you don't have to reset your fabric yield or to set your marker on your floor. Yeah, you only set 56 and you can play around with it after you have it. So for the pocket zipper, the one that doesn't open is 6 inches, right? You have to have what kind of teeth, right? If you order it yourself, somehow your teeth is plastic, go ahead and write plastic, or yeah, plastic, oh, yeah, plastic teeth. For the rest of you, it's metal teeth, right? I forgot what color, I think it's a brass color, right? Or is that gold color, I forgot. Anyway, so you can fill that in. And for that one, it's $8. The front zipper is 22 inches, separating, right? Make sure you say separating or close in. Otherwise, they don't know what to order. So front zipper and is $20. Okay, use these prices for your cost sheet. Last but not least, I'm gonna show you this. This is also in that is a completely filled out cost sheet based on that toddler size bomber jacket. Okay, let's bring it back home one time. Date, name, description, size range. Do not write toddler 2 to 5 because that's not the size you do, but this is the example, right? So if it's small, medium, large, extra large, you would just say small to extra large, right? Remember, you're not circling anything. Instructor, Christopher Ma, style number, make one up. Fall, this is fall 2021. You can write 2020. All right. Here, totally different fabric from what you're using, but it will give you example what needs to be on it, right? If you somehow change around the order of what I just said, it's fine. As long as I find all 4 things under this little category, this little tab here, I won't take anything off. So the toddler jacket, it's made of velour. Yours will be Ponte. Color is white. Yours will be gray, charcoal gray, or black, or whatever it is that you use. 100% polyester and 44 inches cuttable. Okay, now sort of make a little more sense. This number is from everything I showed you recently. So the yardage, remember the self, we included the self by itself, plus the little block that you make for, what do you call that? Block fusing, that arrived to 0.71. 0.71 because it was a tiny little jacket. Yours will be at least 1 point something, okay? So, and the cost of the fabric is, they say is $12 a yard. For you, it'll be 24, right? And then you multiply this one and this one, this is what you're gonna get. Remember 2 decimals. All right. Contrast, again, rib. She used white on her toddler. For use, for all of you, most of you will be black, right? 100% polyester. Just use 100% polyester, it's fine, yeah. We're not gonna say poly lycra. Let's do this. And 44 inches cuttable. You will follow whatever the previous chart that we gave you, okay? Again, this is the yield, the price per yard, and total cost. So after you fill in the fusible, the tricot, and the muslin lining, you're gonna add all this up and put a total amount of the material cost that comes in yardage. All right, roll it down a little bit. This has a zipper. It has 1 zipper. For you, you have 2 zippers, right? So you put one here and then you go down the bottom. You're gonna repeat again. And then you're gonna write maybe 1 here and then 1 at the bottom and the price. And remember, you have to put inches. Okay, you can see it now. White zipper, 14 inches, separating nickel number 7. Okay, so maybe number 5, maybe number 3. So whatever I said to you earlier, okay, on your zipper. Nothing in send out, nothing in labor, and nothing in shipping. Grab the sketch from the spec sheet, put it here. Or if you feel like you want to draw yourself, you're welcome to. Okay, and then put in the swatches here. Usually we do not put fusible here. Okay, so you can just put yourself, your contrast, pocket lining. If it's very rare, you can put the 3 things here. Or if you happen to use 2 different linings, people do that, you will end up putting 2 of them there. Okay, so I've gone through this now.